Good evening, America. Welcome back to another episode of Break the Machine podcast. Myself and Reddaywalker. So much stuff to talk about. We are waiting on Mia Conservadora. She's going to be popping in a little bit later. She's in a different time zone. Um, so let's take care of some administrative things real quick. Don't forget to sign up for the Discord. We had to stop the movie this weekend. We watched Gladiator to turn on to listen to the president's comments. We'll get into a little bit about that in a little bit here. Don't forget to pick up some Scars and Stripes coffee, faith, family, and freedom brand. All right. They're all about God, country. I'm sorry, God, family, and country. So don't forget to take a look at their stuff. They roast their coffee here in the United States. But let's get going. A lot of stuff to talk about tonight. Red Day. What do you got on what happened on Saturday? We were in the middle of a movie when that shit popped off.
I was so mad. I got my weekly recap video. I had it all done early. I was like, "Oh, this is great. I'm just gonna sit back and chill." And I was like, "God damn it!" I was like, oh, I wanted to go to bed early for once on a Saturday,
I know
and then that
I
shit just
listened to it and it's fantastic. Guys, go to his page. Okay, if you're not on Instagram, go to his Rumble page, Patriot Daywalker. He posts them every Sunday. He's got a litany of shit that nobody's talking about. Okay, we don't even get to talk about as much of the stuff during the week on Mondays and Fridays that he puts off on Sunday. So trust me, you want to listen to this stuff,
yeah.
And while
So
we're at
yeah,
it, okay, let's give a big round of applause, okay, to Red Day Walker, who has, and I told him he
why?
would, okay? He hit
What I do?
freaking
Oh,
150K this weekend, and he's now at 152K. So you know what, bro? You get the fucking, you get the fireworks.
it can work. There we go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Fucking awesome, bro. And a little bit of crowd applause. Great job, man. It's really, really. I
That
know
was
your
it.
hard work. You bust your ass, man, on your page and whatnot, and you put a lot of work into it and whatnot.
Thanks,
So,
Scoob.
what's up, Scoob? What's
Scoob's
going on, brother?
Scoob's in the chat.
I see Scoob. It's always good to see Scoob. He's gonna have some funny shit at some point. But let's get back to the news.
Oh,
Trump went in on Iran this weekend. Again, we were in myself. Jonathan, Stevie, and Rogue Nina were in a movie when that shit popped off. My mom actually called me to tell me, and I was like, "Fuck."
oh God,
I was like, we just got fucking. I was like, he
Mom.
just got roped into this shit, and her and I had a disagreement. She hasn't called me back on it, and I was just like,
Um,
disagree. We shouldn't have fucking done it. I was like, Israel has the capability to do it. I don't care if they bomb each other into oblivion. I was like, let them
um,
finish the job. But then I put some perspective on it, like we were talking behind the scenes, and
mhm.
I was like, well, you know what? We paid for those motherfuckers anyway, so I guess we took our own nuclear plants out.
Nope. I mean, and it's the funny thing is that how many emotions did freaking MAGA go through from freaking Saturday night?
Oh my god.
I mean, the whole grieving process. We were mad, they were sad, then they were apologetic, and
Yeah.
then today they're just like, look, it's over already,
Yeah. Yeah.
or at least over for now.
Yeah. This from Scoob for you, bro. This is Daywalker need to hit that buck 50 dance. Congrats though, all jokes aside.
I'm
uh
not going to stand up and do the icky shuffle. I'll do that later.
Holy shit. You took it back to the icky shuffle. Holy
That's right.
shit.
I could do the icky shuffle.
Oh my god. Remember it's like oh my god. Fam,
Yep.
look up the icky shuffle on fucking Rumble or YouTube and you'll see what we're talking about. If you're too young to fucking know what the icky
Al
shuffle
Bundy,
is.
even Al Bundy did the icky shuffle.
Yep, Al Bundy did the icky shuffle too. Yeah, so true. Yeah, the emotions fucking today were just like it went from people being pissed off, people jumping
Mhm.
off the fucking cliffs and stuff like that, jumping off
Right.
MAGA building and whatnot, getting
Mhm.
ready to, you know, this is gonna be World War III and all this other stuff. And my whole thing was like I just didn't want him to get roped into this shit. But he did
Mhm.
what he did, and just like that, right? They're talking already about a ceasefire. It's just
Yep.
like that. You know,
Just
it's
like
like
that.
it just like that. Fucking he Thanos that shit. Snap the fingers, and here we go. We're at a ceasefire.
Yeah.
They
This is
retaliated. Well,
crazy.
what you would call a
He tried to.
retaliation. They tried to. We knocked every single missile out of the fucking sky.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
they
that was just with
they
a base.
yeah yeah.
That was like
But
a
see,
foreign base. Oh my
but if
God.
you remember what we were talking about on Friday, we were like, listen, if the Iranians did some stupid shit prior to him bombing the nuclear sites, if they did some
Hmm.
stupid shit like, launch some missiles at our fucking people in the area, we were talking about that. It was like, and then I would, you know how MAGA's gonna be? They're gonna be like, fucking just end it, end it all. You know what I'm saying? And so it was really
Oh yeah.
surprising. It was surprising for all of us on fucking Saturday when we start getting everybody's phones are going off and everything like that. People are talking to one another, and then we stopped our movie. Uh, Jonathan says they warned us ahead of time. Yeah, for that missile attack they did. Uh, even if they didn't, we would have knocked every single one of their fucking shit missiles out of the sky anyway, like what we've been doing and the Israelis
Yeah.
have been doing, because we've been helping Israel's airspace. Whatever agreements we have,
I mean,
with
yeah,
the
it was a well thought out plan
yeah
because they just what do you call it? They Israel's been freaking wearing them down for the last week.
yeah
Just keeping them busy, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden we just come in and just drop some fucking payloads on their asses,
Yeah, we
and that
we
was
we took it to him.
crazy.
I think it's something that again he wanted to. He didn't get to do it the first time in his first term, and this is
Mhm.
something that it was on his fucking bingo card, his bingo card, not everybody else's, but his bingo card. I think that I think that a lot of the emotion comes from the no more wars and all that other stuff, the shit that was being
Mhm.
talked about during the campaign, and automatically people jumped to World War III the minute they found out that he bombed into it. They can't take a step back and just be like, hopefully this is just a one-off. It sucks that he did it. I may not agree that he did it, but hopefully it's a one-off, and it ended up being a fucking one-off.
It was. And I mean,
So
not one person that came in. Although okay, I don't know if you saw, there was one person who said that I was personally responsible for being in the war.
yes, I saw
Um,
that. Somebody. Yeah, okay, fam, you got to go check out his IG page because he actually put a picture up of it. Some dipshit
my
fucking
stories.
DM'd him. It's in his stories. It's in Red Day stories. Some dipshit DM'd Red Day saying that World War III is going to be specifically Red Day's fault. It's all Red Day's fault
My
if
fault.
it ends up being World War III.
Yeah, it was all my fault. I mean, I had a lot of people laughing, saying, "Oh, I didn't know you had the button, dude." I was like, "Yeah, I didn't know either."
Yeah, I was laughing hysterically with that. I was like, I can't believe these fuckers, man.
It's like I
They're
want to
just
be able
like
to drop some. Just I said, there's some places in the world I'd love to be able to drop some major payloads like that on.
Scoob. They don't. So Scoob asked, y'all think they're gonna get their get back on us? My concern is, and this has been a concern for me for a long time, not just with the Iranians. There have been cells in this country for a very long time.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but a lot of times they get the call to fucking stand down because of what's coming, right? What's gonna happen to the whatever country they claim or whatever faction they claim in the world, what will come to them on the other side of the world, right? Uh, so my concern is if they decide to do something, it may do some shit. Okay, here in the United States, that's still a concern. We are at a heightened status. But I will say this: it wouldn't go over well in even here in the United States, right? Because we're armed citizenry. They would have to
Mhm.
pick some fucking leftist, communist, fucking gun-free zone area because it would be hell to pay. All right,
Mhm.
and even our police. So Red Day and I were actually having a discussion about fucking just anybody trying to invade the United States. So it'd be kind of along that same thing. All right, you do something, you'll probably end up hurting a lot of people, right? They pop it off, but the fucking reach around on that fuck will be very, very heavy, even here in the United States. That's just my thoughts. What are yours, Red Day?
Well, yeah. I mean, they're never gonna. It's never gonna be like Red Dawn or something like that. They're gonna come in and
Yeah,
like split the country or something.
yeah, I know.
But I mean, not to mention there's too much. They're not even gonna get that far with the military. They would have to do something else
Yeah,
first. No military is gonna invade us.
none.
I mean,
Yeah,
even if you had somebody like Canada or Mexico that wanted to,
Oh God,
They're not going to get that far inside the border.
dude, the California National Guard is bigger than the fucking
Yeah.
Mexican army. It's yeah, no. Yeah, I think the biggest concern would be them doing some, nasty shit, setting off some fucking bombs somewhere and stuff like that. But again, the the after effect of what the reach around from not just the American government, not just from our government to whatever country or faction, like I said, claims responsibility if they pop some shit off in this nation, it's not going to go over
Hmm.
very well because our citizenry is we're at a fucking tipping point with a lot of other shit as it is already. Go ahead and set off the American population right now. Just go do it. Go ahead and fucking do it and see what it turns out to be. It's not going to be good, So I think in a lot of these cases, they're waiting for the word to do something. It's not like the movie 24, like the I don't know if you guys remember 24, the series, which was a fucking awesome series. All right, it's not with Keith. Was it Keith Sutherland, right? Um,
Yep.
Kiefer. Is that? Am I saying his fucking
Kiefer.
name right? Is it
Kiefer
Kiefer Sutherland?
Sutherland.
Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah. It's not like that. It could be like that, but the gun-free zones. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Gun-free zones got more guns that are not gun-free zones. It's true. But again, our police department is militarized. Our citizenry
Hmm.
is armed. It won't go over very well. And I just think that Iran has so much to lose. Okay, Red Day and I were talking about that, right? So they were talking about shutting the fucking Strait of Hormuz down, and Russia and China jumped on that shit right away.
Hmm.
Was like, no, you're not. You're not doing that. China would have fucking not even so much Russia, but like we were talking, China, they get like 20% of their oil or some shit like that from fucking through
Hmm.
the through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah. Yeah, they would. And the thing with tankers, I think they said today tankers were already starting to turn around.
Yeah,
Like, because they didn't even want to go through there.
yeah, they were worried.
Um, it was like an hour after that when Russia, I don't know if Putin formally met with them, like in person, or they were just like via phone call. They basically said, "Yeah, we're not going to be getting involved. We're not going to be backing you up with any like military or
Yeah,
um, or supplies or anything like that." And it's like then all of a sudden you see Trump's tweet like maybe like an hour after that saying, "Oh yeah, they want to break bread now."
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
he was like, yeah, through Qatar, the same country that they just lobbed all their missiles into. Okay,
Hmm.
they want them to mediate between with us and Israel to have a ceasefire between Israel and Iran, and of course they don't want Iran doesn't want to fuck with us. Okay,
Yeah, Qatar wanted to fire shit back at them today.
yeah, I
There
know
was that announcement.
Qatar was kind of pissed off at them, and they were
Yeah,
getting
they were
ready.
like, you shot it at their base, but that was our fucking land. It's like, what the hell,
Yeah,
man?
no,
So they
yeah,
took it
I
as an
think
act of aggression.
they definitely pissed off the Qataris today. And
Hmm.
listen, the Qataris are two-faced in nature. Okay, they're not fucking our friends or none of those countries are our friends or allies. Hey, Mia Conservadora is with us. Let's bring her
Was
in.
she hopping on already?
Oh, we got freaking.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's okay. She gave him the Thanos snap, and
Let me close the door this way she doesn't see anybody who walks by.
no
Mia,
problem.
Mia, sit, sit,
There she
be
is.
quiet.
Yep,
Mia,
Hi, Mia.
she's what do you call it? She's taking care of her dog.
Did she get muted?
I don't think she did. I didn't want to mute her because she might not know how to what do you call it? Pop herself back in. There she's back.
okay. I closed everything. The curtains, the door.
Yeah.
Sorry
Well,
about
Mia,
that.
it is very good to see you. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you giving up your time tonight to come and
Mhm.
hang out with myself and Scott. Scott has said some really nice things about you. I guess you guys have had quite a bit of conversation, so it's just good to have you on. It's always good to have a new friend of the show.
Thank you. And just to correct, my name is Sonia.
Sonia, yeah,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's Sonia. Yeah, I got that from when your email you responded. I saw it says Sonia on it. I was like, okay, it's not Mia. I guess Mia is your dog is because you were calling your dog Mia, right?
It is. This profile was hers solely, but
Yes.
my other profile, which I had tons of followers,
Mhm.
Instagram removed it and never
Oh,
gave me the opportunity to figure out why they were removing. So it's pretty tiring to deal with Instagram.
it is.
Oh, yeah.
They're a pain in the ass. They got me on ice. I've been on ice for 6 months now. Fortunately, Red Day is still blowing up, so that's good. It's good to see Scott blowing up and whatnot. He deserves it. He
Yes,
puts in a lot of work
exactly.
to it. He puts in a lot of work to his page. So,
Oh my God,
um,
he does. I
uh,
love his recap of President Trump's
yeah,
administration. I hope he will not stop because this is going to be for history. You know, we can
Oh,
show
yeah.
people.
yep, yep.
It's been
It's
a
always
crazy
good to
week so
listen to
far.
this. It's been a crazy. We started off crazy and whatnot. This Saturday, we were having our movie night, and we had to
Hmm.
stop the movie to listen to the president and whatnot, and be like, "What the hell is going on?" And everybody's MAGA's emotions went from like it's been all over the place, and then now all of a sudden they're talking about ceasefires and everything. So we will see
Thank
what
goodness,
happens.
right? Thank
Yeah,
goodness. But I've been hearing very interesting reports about if this was actually planned between the two countries so
mhm.
that Iran could save face. You know what I mean?
I don't know
Do
about
you
that.
think
I
Trump?
think go
I
ahead,
don't
go
know.
ahead, go ahead, right there. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you saying that they plan to? Well, I don't think they planned it because I don't think Iran would want to have so much damage done to their
Destruction. I know.
infrastructure.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly they moved everything far in advance. Some influencers are posting on Instagram saying that there were tons of trucks leaving that area
Mhm.
before the
Yeah.
explosion.
Yeah, they were posting satellite pictures of trucks moving, but there are no dates on those satellite pictures. Nobody knows. It's almost like the same pictures that we were seeing before we went into Iraq and everything,
Yeah,
of them moving freaking what was it- and I try to explain to people there wasn't any new WMD in Iraq. That was obvious in the end. We figured that out. But there was a lot of old degraded shit that our NBC teams were taking care of right in the beginning. I know because I had to sit to guard some of that stuff, so it didn't get into the hands of insurgents and whatnot, and they didn't use any of that shit on us. So like there was there was weapons of mass destruction, but it was a lot of it was degraded, and you know who actually acknowledged it quickly, but like got rid of it. It was Nancy Pelosi, and I never saw that clip ever again. They asked her about it one day, and this was when I was back from Iraq. Okay, they asked her about it.
wow.
She's like, "Oh, that's just old degraded stuff." As if that shit wouldn't kill any soldiers or anything like that. And it's like it's just degraded and everything. And
She's
I
an
remember
expert.
seeing it, and I was like, what a fucking twat, man. I was like, she just it's like it's not her kids that are out there, it's us. But
Exactly.
like I said, I know influencers were posting those pictures, satellite pictures of trucks. I don't know if it was day of, days
Yeah.
before, 2 years ago. You just never know with that shit. So like, I just go with what I feel. This was something that was on Trump's bingo card from the last term that he wanted to do after he took Soleimani out. He was probably headed. The next thing was probably going to be their nuclear plants and whatnot, and he just decided to go ahead and do it this time and threw us all a curveball. And like I said, MAGA went through this whole litany of feelings: from pissed, hurt, crying,
Mhm.
doom and glooming, World War III, and now they're talking
And
about
and
coming
some
together.
enemies were created or some enemies came out of the closet
Yep,
against Trump. You know
yep,
who I'm referring to, right? Quite a few.
yep,
No,
yep,
who are you talking about?
yeah.
Apparently, Joe Rogan posted a few things.
Oh, I didn't,
And
I,
of
I didn't know.
course, yeah, Tucker Carlson, of course, we all know. And another one that I forgot the name of posted some things. And, you don't know who to trust nowadays
Yeah,
anymore, you
yeah. Joe
know.
Rogan doesn't surprise me though. He's been like that though. He's not a conservative or anything like that. He's
No,
more of
not at
on
all.
the Maha thing. So if he came out and actually said something, uh, against the strikes and whatnot, that wouldn't surprise me because he's kind of been on. He was a liberal for like ever, right? And then
Yes.
the
Yeah.
the left went so far to the left that they lost him. But he's been a liberal his whole life, so that wouldn't surprise me from if Joe Rogan dropped something. If Dr. Ben Carson, he's a pretty religious guy. I know Massey was all over it over the weekend and everything.
Yep.
What had me laughing though was he on both sides of the uniparty. Okay, what he did was illegal, and I was like, I guess you guys not only one have not read the Constitution, and two don't understand that those powers, extra powers, were given to him, given to any president, Republican or Democrat, okay, in the Patriot Act. All right, they literally rushed it, okay, to Bush. He signed, and Bush didn't even use those powers that they gave him. Hey, Blondie, what's going on? The extra powers and whatnot, because we were already in the war and stuff like that. But
Yep.
in the Patriot Act, they gave extra powers to the president to make snap decisions like that. Obama did it. He bombed what three
Yes.
thousand, dropped like 3,000 bombs in 2016 alone, before he gave the White House up. Biden did it, so Trump did it in his first term. So the legality of it is that's just a bullshit argument.
I agree with you 100%. It's just because Trump is in the presidency.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's got the Marxist left and the never Trumpers on the right, the rhinos that he's got a lot of people that he's pissed off, uh, and their egos are still like hurting from it. They're still raw over it, and this is like 10 years later.
Yep.
It's funny. It's true though.
Yeah. But again, the like I said, the litany of feelings for everybody on this was including myself. Saturday I was pissed. I was like, why would he get involved? Why would he do
Mhm.
that? Then I had to put some perspective on it. On Sunday, when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, we actually paid for those things, right? Like, fucking Hillary Clinton gave him the uranium to enrich back in the day. Uh, Obama gave them like $1.7 billion. Biden gave them $16 billion. That we paid for all of that shit. So all we're doing is just destroying our property.
Yeah, and let's not forget John Kerry going to Iran behind Trump's back on his first term. It
Oh yeah.
makes me wonder what conversations John Kerry held with the Ayatollahs in Iran.
Not probably not good ones, right? Because I mean,
Mhm.
his
No.
whole life, his whole career, he hates his country, right? His whole
Yep,
political career, it was all about hating America.
yep,
So
yep.
yeah, Rogan was never a conservative and apparently a fair weather supporter. But again, Rogan doesn't surprise me coming out. Uh,
No.
Seeing Tucker Carlson fucking get ready to cry doesn't surprise me, or anything like that. That
Tucker
none of
Carlson
that shit
surprised
surprise.
me.
Huh?
Tucker surprised me.
Yeah,
Said
me
Tucker
too.
surprised me
Me
Why?
too.
because Tucker was like he was like hardcore conservative, hardcore right wing before Trump. He wasn't like he came like people like Rogan came from the middle and they
Right.
came over to Trump. Tucker came from the right.
Yeah.
Tucker was like, you know, he was like your Mitch McConnell like right wing back in the day, and then he became a populist, like kind of like more like towards that mid right wing,
Yeah.
that Trump is. So it's kind of surprising to see him just being like, oh, just kind
Yeah.
of like
He was. He's
arguing with
part
him. I
of
was like, really
what? His father,
stupid,
was it his father who was CIA? Tucker's dad or something like that. Uh,
supposedly, yeah.
yeah. But he grew up in Washington D.C., so he grew up in the swamp
Mhm.
and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So, but he has
Hmm.
been very, very conservative in this thought. He ended up losing his job for standing up for January the J6ers and stuff like that. Um, but he has been very, very, anti-Israel, fucking, and anti-war recently and stuff like that. So, for me, it didn't surprise me that he was getting ready to shed tears and stuff like that for Iran. That didn't surprise me at all. It's
Yeah,
just,
I know. He sided with Iran.
yeah,
It's just surreal. I couldn't believe. I was listening to him and going, "What?"
yeah. I was like, oh,
And you
okay,
know what? It's interesting. If I may say something about my background.
Yeah.
So I arrived in this country to go to school. I came here with a student visa legally
Hmm.
51 years ago almost. In
Wow.
July, I think will be 51 years. And if I can talk a little bit about this confusion about immigration and
You
the
talk as much as
visas,
you want.
and
You talk about
thank
as
you.
much as you want.
So everything coincided with the coup that the ayatollahs in Iran. When I arrived here, I went to college. It was in California, and at that time the Iron Curtain still existed.
The Soviet Union.
And yep, and interestingly enough, my class had a mixture of students. We had a mixture of scientists and doctors, highly intellectual people, professionals from Russia who fled the regime. Then a lot of Iranians who fled to come to study, and a lot of other princes from Saudi Arabia, all of those royalties, a lot of different countries in my classroom. Initially, we all went to study English, and then we had to take the tests to be transferred to a college or to a university.
Right.
And I went through all that time of the Shah of Iran being taken from power. His father was in power previously. I think
Hmm.
everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
Uh, and he had then cancer, and a lot of the Democrats didn't want him to come to America for treatment because
I
they
remember that.
saw him as an evil, remember?
Yeah.
And all the
I
kids,
remember the
Farah
stories because I
Diba.
was a little boy, but I remember the stories.
Oh, yeah, I was a young
My dad
woman.
explained it.
Yes, I was a young woman. So I was able, fortunately, to witness all of that and to really know the history of everything that's culminating right now.
Hmm.
And interestingly enough, I don't know if everybody here knows, all the Ayatollahs lived in Paris. They fled Iran to protect themselves, the top ones, but they were fulminating all this discord in the country while they were outside of the country, which is typical, right? Communists
They
do the
still do
same.
that to this day.
Exactly. And that's how he was able to successfully go back to Iran and do what he did, you know.
Hmm.
And the Shah and his family had to flee. And unfortunately, the Shah passed away, and the kids were going some to France. Most of them came to America. I don't know where Faradiba lives. I think it's in the U.S.
Yeah,
Uh,
I believe his son is here in the U.S. For some reason, I want to say
yes,
California because there's like a huge Persian population in California. So for some reason, I want
Yeah.
to say Cali. I could be wrong.
I
As
think
far as
he
his
lives
son's
in
son.
California. He looks so much like his dad. It's surreal.
Mhm.
Young Reza Palev. He looks exactly like him, and I hope he comes back to power. But I think the Ayatollah will continue in power in Iran. What do you guys think?
Yeah. We talk about that. Hey, conserve reality.
Yeah.
What's going on? Rogue Nina, what's up? Scott and I were actually talking before the show about that. Um, we were just talking about how anytime there's any uprising in Iran, it's usually the women who are out in the front, okay, fighting and stuff for freedom and whatnot. Um, and I just don't know. It's so ingrained. The totalitarianism is so ingrained in that country. It's so deep rooted, right? And it goes not only from the Ayatollahs right through their military, their police, and everything like that. Everybody who has the guns, okay, is just so and unless the military says one day we're done with this, I just don't see it because it's the
I
same thing that
agree.
it's the
I
same thing.
agree with you.
If you think about the whole area, right? It's the same thing that goes on in Turkey. The last time Turkey had a shot of becoming a somewhat free nation, okay, rather than totalitarian, the military was ready to give it to the people, okay. but the people back that the what's that dude's name? I can't remember. My memory's terrible with freaking leaders' names. The guy who's in power now, he's been in power forever. Um, but the military was ready to give the country back to the freedom. So unless the military steps up and the police steps up in Iran and say we're done with the ayatollahs and we want to go back to, even if it's not just having the Shah, right? We just want to go back to somewhat of what it was like back in the 1970s before everything got taken from us. Um, that nothing will ever happen. Like you just said, the ayatollahs will stay in power. What do you think
Yeah,
they'll do?
I like the way you analyzed it because it is indeed ingrained. If you go back at the time when they took power, it was rather quickly, and they were extremely organized.
Hmm.
So much so that when the main Ayatollah came back into the country and he took the power, and everybody went to the streets, and the American embassy took taken over,
Hmm.
blah blah blah. It was so quick. It
Yep.
was shocking to see how quick they were able to just impose everything. And it's sad. It's really sad. The same thing is going on in my country, my birth country of Brazil. It's going to be very difficult to remove the socialist dictatorship, which is also a narco country. Let's face it,
Yeah.
Brazil is a narco country too.
You're the first person. I'm glad you said that. You're the first person I've ever heard actually admit that because it's your country of birth. And it's hard to
Mhm.
admit that things like that. But you're the first Brazilian I've heard actually say that. And Brazil, we've talked about Brazilians on this show about how you guys are beautiful people, very cultured, okay, and have a lot to offer. And what's going on and you've probably commented in the chats. I'm sure a couple of
Yeah.
times
Yes.
about about what's going on in Brazil and whatnot. It's terrible. Yeah, I think you're 100% correct what you're saying, and it's going to take fighting in the streets, unfortunately, to uproot a lot of this shit.
But see, Brazilians don't have guns, okay? That's what the communists, the socialists did the first time they took power. They lied to people. They bought their guns back for peanuts and based on let's be peaceful, blah, 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 the typical communist agenda.
Yep.
And the people, they were gullible, and a lot of those people needed the money. So they sold their guns back, and now they regret, and they are taking the licenses from people who are in government, like Bolsonaro's son. They just removed his license to carry a gun, and he is a politician. He's a congressman.
Right. Hmm.
So uh, probably the reasons Brazilians don't mention anything like I do, it's because one, some of them are still in Brazil, or if they live here, they have families that they have
Right.
fear of repercussion because we are living in a dictatorship in Brazil right now, a very fierce dictatorship.
Right.
I don't know, big guy, if you know, Brazil had an insurrection
Yep.
on the 8th of January in 23. It's
Yeah.
a copycat of the insurrection in January 6, 2021 here in
Yeah, I know.
America.
I like how you do the quotes insurrection. Yeah, I remember seeing video footage of that in 2023. Okay, the people were not happy with the election being stolen, and they were ready to fight in the streets, but they came down. The government came down very hard on the people, and it's the same story everywhere. Everywhere that communism or socialism has taken root, they take the people's weapons away from them first, so that they cannot fight back. It is the reason why our constitution is so important, and the Second Amendment, okay, in our constitution absolutely secures every other amendment in the Bill of Rights. So like it's sad. Like I said, a lot of good people in Brazil, a lot of beautiful people. The culture is fantastic. And I've always wanted to go to Brazil, but I won't spend my money there because I'm just like I'm
Not
not going to
right
give my
now.
money to a communist to a
No.
communist nation.
It's very dangerous. Don't. It's
Yeah.
Canada just issued a warning to the Canadians,
Mm.
telling them not to travel to Brazil, or if they do, it's basically at
Really.
their own risk.
Right.
And the State Department here did the same thing. But another thing you mentioned is Brazil. the Brazilians at that time, after the election, they spent about 75 days on the streets. I think we all saw that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my old profile, which had all the videos, all the postings, everything is gone. But the military, we trusted that the military was on our side, but they
Hmm.
were not. So it's a warning for America. When the military is not on the side of the people, we are doomed.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah, if it would be tough. Another, if we ever had a, God forbid, we had another civil war in this nation, it would be tough because um, our National Guard are they're everyday citizens, okay, who have family in these communities and stuff like that. It would be a nasty fight. I don't foresee that happening. I think that we can get ourselves out of trouble. Uh, Scott and I have talked at length about how the framework in our Constitution is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's up to us as the citizenry to do things the right way, not just on a national level, but on our local levels, right? You have to do it in your cities, your towns, your counties, your villages. Okay. You have to pay attention, especially, both Scott and I have talked at length with judges and DAs, right? If you let these Marxist judges and DAs take over the judicial system, which they pretty much have, okay, it's a wrap. And you see what happened to the J6ers, right? That I mean, they almost immediately they went through all kinds of terrible stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you all know that I live in sad state of Colorado.
Beautiful state too.
And
I do, but I don't know if a lot of people in the chat do.
Yeah, yeah, I knew that because you had mentioned that.
yes. And I deposed in Congress twice here in Colorado. One was about the machines that Colorado wanted to use in our elections.
Hmm.
I will tell you guys, and I deposed also on the gun issue. I deposed, giving examples like my birth country, Brazil, in both cases, coincidentally. And I will tell you this about the voting machine. On their side, there were like no more than 8 people. 5 of them worked in the government. Okay, the other 3 were citizens like me deposing in favor of the machines. On our side, there were about 20 people, of which 7 or 8 were highly qualified IT individuals who proved those machines can be, um, sorry,
It's okay. Manipulated.
Yeah,
manipulated.
manipulated act.
They even demonstrated it. Making a long story short, after everybody made the deposition on both sides, it took the Democrats 3 minutes to vote to continue using the machines.
That
Figures.
doesn't surprise
And
me.
let me tell you, most of the people sitting in that government, most of them were between 30, 45-year old,
Yeah.
even in
The
their 20s.
millennials, the millennials are stuck on socialism right now. They're about to elect another. Well, they elect a communist got elected in De Blasio in New York, and now they're gonna elect another one. Okay, to take a second. You need to take a second. Yeah, you
How
got
do
your
I
water.
mute my microphone?
All right, so there's a little microphone symbol. If you see it
Oh,
on your
yeah.
screen, if you use your mouse, you click on that, you can mute it, and then the little camera. If you want to just bring it up, you can hit that, and it'll cut your feed off. You'll still be there. So if you want to talk and not have anybody see you, you hit the camera. If you want to just like cut it out for both, you can hit both, and then the sound and your picture will go away
Yep, I
temporarily
saw
until you
that.
click on it
Thank
again.
you. Thank you.
That's okay. Right. That's what, if you take a second if you need to. It's no problem. We got plenty of
Thank you.
time to talk.
And
Having
Bad
like,
news, and guess what? And bad news for New York City too, because apparently that worst guy is now in the lead of the
yeah,
polls.
yes, he
you just
is.
yeah,
And
well, you
the irony? How can they have forgotten
Mm.
what that guy did to New York? I forgot.
Bla, Diasio,
Oh yeah, who?
Oh,
Diasio.
Cuomo. What do you think about
No, no,
Cuomo?
no,
Are
No,
you talking about the state or the city?
the he wants to be the governor of New York. I forgot
Oh,
his name.
that was Cuomo. He was the governor of New
Cuomo.
York,
How
but
can they forget what he did during COVID?
it's
Seriously.
it's it's
Apparently they
that's
did.
New York City for you. It's why I left the what do you call it? The Communist Republic of New York. I couldn't stay there. My ideology, my way of life, everything was just completely taken away from me essentially. I lost my job during COVID because I refused to get the Java juice. And I was in, I worked in EMS and everything like that. And I worked in a hospital and I was like, I just refused to do it. I walked away from trying to become a PA because I was like, I can't be part of that. I can't, you know, I I served twice. I served my nation twice out of high school in the Marine Corps, and after 9/11, I went into the Army. So I was like, I
Wow.
swore an oath to protect people's rights in this country, and I can't, in my head, I couldn't fathom what was going on and me taking part of that. So like, I had to walk away.
Yes. And
But
thank you
people,
for your service, by the way.
well, thank you for your
And
support, hon.
I was married to a Jewish guy, and in New York, okay, he was a New Yorker. He was first generation Jewish. His
Hmm.
mother fled Germany along with her mother during Hitler. They lost everything. They were very rich, but they left everything behind.
Hmm.
His father fled Poland, and yet the Jewish people vote Democrat. It beats the hell out of me. How?
Crazy.
How?
I've been trying to get that answer for a long time. I don't think I'll ever get that answer in New York. Why they continue to do
Yeah, I
that?
don't.
I will
So
never be able
weird.
to fathom. I can't understand it. My landlord, when I left New York, he's actually a libertarian. His great Jewish family. I was actually partners with his daughter on EMS. That's actually how I met him, and then ended up getting an apartment. And he was very veteran friendly. He took care of there was like three or four other veterans who were renting from him. He never raised our rent. I in this 8 years that I lived, okay, in his apartment that he owned, he raised my rent twice. When you think about the total
Wow.
times, because it was like
Wow.
4 times that he raised it $50. So I counted as just two because it ended up being $200 from the original thing. So uh, he's a very good man. We used to have these discussions, and he couldn't understand it either. He was like,
Did
I
you
can't
live in the
understand it.
city? In
I
the
didn't live in the
city?
city. I left New York City when I was 14. And I moved up to Rockland County, which is on the other side of the Hudson, the Tappan Zee Bridge. I don't care if they
Yeah.
call it the fucking
I
Cuomo
lived in New
Bridge.
York City at the
Yeah.
worst time New York could have. Remember Silva?
Hmm.
I lived in New York when he started forming the vigilantes
Yep.
because at
I was the
that
late.
time the police it was on a strike. We had no police. There were garbage all over, no pickup of
Yep.
garbage, nothing.
I was
I
the '70s
lived,
into the '80s.
yes, yes, and I lived in Hell's Kitchen too.
Oh shit.
Yes, I
Wow.
did.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
at that time,
It it
I
was
was in
it
the
was
heart of
really
it.
Hell's Kitchen. It was really Hell's Kitchen back then.
it was really Hell's Kitchen. You could not near Times Square. You could
Yeah.
not go near Times Square back then.
Yeah.
But the reason is I was a student. I didn't make a lot of money, so I had to make the ends meet. But I would tell you this: I really wished that Silva, who was a candidate for mayor of New York City, would have been considered more seriously. Than New Yorkers are gonna make a big mistake if they elect
Huge
the guy.
mistake. They're
Yes.
going to, and it's not only
We're gonna
just,
make
it's
it.
not, yeah, yeah, they'll take their socialism and like that. CRT mom, it's nice to see you, hon. CRT mom's actually going to be with us on the 7th. We have to I got to continue to work that out. Um, so Monday the 7th, she will be with us.
I will tell you, I am almost 75 years old and I have lived to see so much. So
Mhm.
much. I am a history book, a
That's
walking history book.
it is amazing. And you've lived in again, you lived in Hell's Kitchen when it was really Hell's Kitchen. You wouldn't even recognize it
Mhm.
now. Um, but the city in the 1990s and the Giuliani took a turn for the best. He gave 8 years. In 8 years he absolutely revitalized the city, completely, and he started with Times Square, right? Because you couldn't even go into Times Square. It
Yes.
was just, you
Nope.
mentioned that it was all like it was all smut and strippers and porn theaters and all that other stuff. He got rid of all of that shit. And the first
Lots of
company he
drugs.
yeah, it was right. You could get whatever you wanted in Times Square. Prostitutes were running around in Times Square and whatnot. It wasn't like the Times Square of old. He got rid of all of that, and then from that point on, for 8 years straight, the city was very, very safe. And I remember Bloomberg, the mayor for life, I call him, because he changed the rules to get reelected, to get elected a third time, and then changed the rules back. All right, he never changed one thing that Giuliani did when it came to
Mhm.
policing and stuff like that. He kept all of that stuff because, and then De Blasio came in with his communist shit and ruined everything.
Yeah. And I pick places to live because I also lived in Philadelphia at the time
Oh
of the
Jesus!
riots,
Oh
burning
God!
Philadelphia down.
Wow! You've been all over.
What part of Philly did you live in? Because I actually lived in Philly too.
Did you? I lived near downtown.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, around. I think it was Walnut Street, if I remember well. But
Okay.
near
Yeah, that was
downtown.
downtown.
Yeah, yeah, near Market Street, that area. Yeah,
Like
very
north,
Oh,
like
rough time.
near Northern Liberties, or is that not really not really that area?
Yeah, very rough times in Philly.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Wow. Yeah, Philly's a rough town. Even to this day, it's still a pretty rough town. And then you got Camden on the other side, which is not no, which is no walk in the
Yeah,
park in New
not
Jersey.
better.
Mhm.
Yeah,
But
it's just like
the senator from Pennsylvania, he's married to a Brazilian communist. Did you know? Did you guys know that?
didn't know that. Just learned
She's
something today.
very communist. She's friends of Biden, Obama, and Lula da Silva of Brazil. In
Didn't know
her,
that.
she had an Instagram account. I think Federman might have asked her to tone it down, and she removed a lot of the crap she had.
Fetterman.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
telling you
I would
that
tell
Wait,
you,
what is up with Fetterman?
he the
He's
stroke reset his freaking it reset his program.
which is wonderful, which is wonderful. But his wife is still a radical. I don't know if you heard
Very.
the rumors. They were trying to put her on the shadow government in DC. His
Yeah.
wife. If
his
you
wife
go,
is crazy looking.
Yeah, she's nuts.
oh my God, yes, she is. And her family, her story is her mother came here illegally. She was
Yeah.
No, I
a
didn't know
kid.
that.
She was not born here. She was a
Didn't
kid.
know that either.
Yeah, yeah. And her.
Fetterman. I was gonna say it's funny because Fetterman, I think, was the Democrat that stood up and been like, "No, Trump has the authority to do
He
all
did.
what he
He's
just
the
said."
only he told them
He
all to
was the
shut up.
only one.
He was like, you guys are all idiots.
How
He's
did
like he has the
Fetterman become the
authority to
voice
do
of
that.
reason?
Yeah, he was the Fetterman of all people is the voice of reason.
I know, isn't it unbelievable? It's like, oh my God, I wonder if there is a conflict at home because she's a staunch socialist.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
terrible. His wife is terrible. And we're speaking about you've been all over, but um what was your immigration process like? Because we have
Oh,
one of our viewers, she's not on tonight. She'll probably watch the show later. It took her 24 years to get her citizenship, and including she even served the nation, right? She was in the Air Force and whatnot, but like, it just took forever for her to get her citizenship. So what was that journey like? Because I know Scott was telling me how immigration is a big thing for you, especially what's going on in your state, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But what was your journey like?
it is very important because a lot of the people are lying when they post videos on social media to make the Trump administration look bad. They
Right.
they don't have any idea how the process is, what is legal, what is not. In fact, I have friends who are attorneys. One of them was born here, but he also has dual citizenship in Brazil. He tells me a lot of the stuff that I correct on the internet, my
Hmm.
process. So I applied in Brazil. At that time, we had a military government in Brazil. And at that time, I had to ask for permission to leave the country. I
Hmm.
bet you guys didn't know that, did you? A
Hmm.
lot of Brazilians also didn't know that I had to obtain a visa, an exit visa to leave Brazil.
Right.
Once I
Wow.
got the exit visa to leave Brazil, then I went to the American embassy with the school paperwork to apply for my visa. The embassy, not the embassy, but the consulate, asked for 5 years of my income tax. They checked me out thoroughly and they told me, come back for another interview. So I left all the documentation there, went back home a few days later. I contacted them because back then in Brazil, not everybody could afford having a landline phone, and the cell phones didn't exist back then.
Right.
And they said, come back on such and such date, which I did. They grilled me on the interview because I come from a poor family and they probably thought, oh, this woman is going to stay. She's not going to come back. But I told them I just wanted to come to America to go to school. At that time, I was working for Bank of London, and I was promised my job back once I finished the school. So they approved my visa. I arrived, of all places, in California.
Uh,
I went to a Christian school to learn English first. That's where I met all the people from Russia, Iran, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if you guys have heard of Holy Names College in Oakland.
No.
That's where I went.
Do they still exist? I'm curious.
Oh, yes, it does.
Okay.
And it's a
I'll have
very,
to look that up.
very nice campus on the hills.
mm,
It's expensive. And my dorm roommate was from Japan. They made sure that people who spoke the same language would never be roommates because you
Right.
needed to learn English.
Right.
And after I
That's interesting.
learned, yes, so I was the poorest student on campus. Imagine the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and all those people, and I was forking all the expenses. I saved my money to come here. So then I transferred to San Jose State University, and because I graduated with honors from San Jose State in business administration. At that time, the Silicon Valley was just starting,
Yep.
and that they used to go on campus to hire the best students to work for them. So I was hired by a 500 company called Gould. It had several companies, and I became the import and export manager for them, and I became they sponsored me, but it's very hard nowadays to get a sponsorship. Back then, we didn't have a lot of illegals in this country. In
Yeah, it was
fact,
different. That was
yes,
that was when
I,
it was called INS and not
um,
exactly,
and not ICE.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. INS. And they used to go and raid the
Yep.
companies, the meat places, the farms. They used to go all over, and the people never did any brouhaha like they are doing now. Granted that we didn't have that many illegals, most of the illegals were working in the farms in
Right.
California. And in fact, back then they even had a working visa temporary that people come for the plan for the
Farms.
when the farms when it's ready to pick the lettuces, the fruit, etc., and
Yeah.
then they would return to their country.
It was
And I think
seasonal.
it's seasonal.
The work visas were seasonal.
Yes, and I think Trump is trying to do that again. And I think it's a great idea because
Yeah.
people who don't have money in their country, they can come here, work 6 months, make a little money, go back, then a new batch comes, and eventually the same people can come back again. I think it's a win-win situation for
Yeah.
everybody. But I remember one time
yeah.
I was traveling with a friend. He was a scientist, and he was speeding and the police stopped us, and at that time I was a blonde young hippie girl, and the police thought I was American. They didn't even ask for my documentation. which I they stopped him, not me. So it was easy to spot and stop the immigrants that were illegal.
Right.
But the process is not that simple. It takes
Mhm.
time. It's expensive. When I got my green card, I was fingerprinted by the FBI. I had to be medically checked to make sure I didn't have any communicable disease, such as tuberculosis,
Um,
measles. I had to go through all of that, and I
right.
paid. Everything was paid by me. Okay,
Mhm.
the company paid a portion of it, but I also forked out a little bit, and they did all kinds of things. I remember it was a lengthy process, and finally I got my green card. And back then you had to wait, I think, 5 years. You could not leave the country for you to prepare yourself to become a citizen.
Right.
My company paid for us who were foreigners to study the American Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, the history of America. So I went to school in the company. The teacher would come to the company, and we had a classroom after hours where we always studied all of that. And on the day of, they set up for us to do the Pledge of Allegiance, which they hired a huge space, and everybody who wanted to become a naturalized citizen came to this place. And I did the Pledge of Allegiance. They gave us a certificate of citizenship, which I recommend whoever is naturalized never lose this document. Put in a safe place, in a fireproof safe, because this document is more important than your passport. If
Right.
you lose your passport, the only way you can prove you are a naturalized citizen is via this certificate. It looks like a diploma you get when
Right.
you graduate from high school or the university. But it was a lengthy process. It took me until I think I became a citizen in 1995, I believe. I became the citizen. And as I said, I could not leave the country because they would have to restart counting again 5 years for me to become citizen. Once I became a citizen, then it was okay. What I object to, though, is America has a naive attitude towards giving green cards and citizenship to people. What
100%.
I, what do I mean by that? A lot of the people come here, they want to have a green card. Once they get it, they go back to their country. And years ago, I remember when I had my green card, my brother got seriously sick in Brazil. And I said to myself, oh my God, I cannot leave the country for an extended period of time. That's one of the terms. People who have green cards, they cannot assume that they can go and stay out of the country for 2, 3 years. And, it's very easy for them to have a green card and be going back and forth, back and forth. In essence, they are not living here. They just wanted
Right.
the possibility to come here whenever they want.
Yeah. Right.
During my time, I consulted with the INS, and they said, no, you cannot stay out more than a year. I said, my brother's very sick. I need to help my mom. And they said, you have to write to the State Department and ask them to allow you to stay for the time you need. Otherwise, you're going to lose your green card. Thank God my brother got better. I didn't have to go through that route, because I can imagine it would take a long time, especially back then. And people use the green card as a means to be traveling as a tourist here. They
Right.
don't, a lot of
Yeah,
people
that's
don't
all they
have
really care about.
invitation to live here, right? A lot
Right.
of them, they don't. That is why the people posting on social media, oh, they canceled the green card of my friend who came back from his country or her country. Guess why? Tell the true story. They only post taking the green card, but they
Right.
don't tell you why,
Why? Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Most of the reason is you exceeded the length of time.
Hmm.
And if you have a green card, it means that you are a resident of this country.
Right.
Okay? It's an immigration permission for you to work and live here legally, file your taxes and everything. But if you spend more time in your country and less here, what is the purpose of having a green card other than
Correct.
convenience, right? Asylum. Let's talk about asylum.
Call
Asylum,
them out every time you see that, by the way.
Yeah.
huh?
Call them out every time you see that, though.
Oh, I always do. I always tell them. Oh my God, I spend the whole day on the internet, trust me. And the asylum has always been political, religious persecution. You were threatened to be killed in your country, but it's not you who tell them, oh, I am be threatened. So asylum, please. You have to have documentation
Right.
Yeah,
You have
you
to
have
to
proof.
prove.
prove that you are being persecuted politically. You have to have documentation for religious persecution, for death threats in your country. And I think you all know that most of the people who entered during the 4 years of the Biden Kamala Mayorkas administration, they were instructed on the other side of the border by paid attorneys via USAID to say asylum.
Yeah.
So imagine all these million people, they entered here saying asylum. And again, I see a lot of these influencers who are leftists saying, they didn't give the asylum to my friend.
Well, you
Well,
know what? The biggest problem is they don't understand anything. They
Correct.
don't
no,
understand the Constitution. They don't understand the all of the amendments and the rule. They don't understand what it even. They could just go out in the street and they don't even understand what laws there are. I mean, I watch dash cam, body cam videos all the time. Nobody understands why they're getting arrested. Like
Right.
nobody knows.
Right. And I
right.
think you hit a point, right? The last administration, um, they were giving instructions to these both foreign and domestic NGOs through USAID, okay, and other outlets, right? Because a lot of that money went, to bring these people over,
The
religious,
UN included.
non-religious.
The
Yeah. Yep.
UN included.
Correct. The UN included.
Hmm.
So but the last administration was deliberately, okay, bending the rules, all right, to let people in. So like you just mentioned the whole litany of things that you have to do, okay, if you're claiming asylum. No matter what the reason for asylum, you have to prove any of the reasons, all right, that you give. You have to make sure you prove. Well, they got rid
Yeah,
of all of that. So like the
but
last
see,
administration, all you had to do was just raise your hand and say, I'm here for political persecution. Someone was trying to kill me, religious persecution, whatever the reason is, and you didn't have to prove anything under the last administration.
well, look at the FBI under the Biden administration. Do you think they would check if those asylum requests were truthful or not? Of course not. Now, you know there are a lot of
Yep.
Brazilians, journalists and politicians, like even Bolsonaro's sons is living here in America right now because they're threatening him in Brazil. Okay? And
Mm.
uh, the journalists that obtained asylum here in America, they proved that they were being persecuted. And if they go back to Brazil, they're going to spend the rest of their lives in jail, period.
Mhm.
So there are two journalists. I don't know if you follow Oscar Blue Ramirez and Ben Bergquin. They went to the
That I
Darien
do.
Gap. You
I
do,
know Ben.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
Ben
and
Bergen.
Oscar and Ben worked together. I made lives with Oscar when he was beginning because he wanted to go to Brazil and he asked for my assistance how to deal with things and even teach a few words in Portuguese. Oscar speaks English and Spanish. He lives in Tijuana. He's an excellent reporter. And Ben Bergman is wonderful. They both work for Real American Voices. And
Mm,
they went to the Darien Gap. Oscar went 4 times to the Darien Gap. They documented how everything was done on the other side of the border.
right.
They were all financed attorneys, ONGs, you name it. The UN. They filmed the UN building and they saw them filming and they had to flee because they were after them. Oscar has received death threats. He has to move his family over and over because he is still talking about how everything was done on the other side of the border. It is
Mm,
so sad that they are not allowed or they don't have the necessary visibility to shut this freaking young and old people like me, leftists who keep saying horrible things about the Trump administration. There are profiles on Instagram saying, let's all group together and fight because this is a Gestapo. They are
right.
they are saying they're kidnapping people. They are
Right.
not kidnapping people. And another
I
thing,
don't know what. Yeah.
how do you know
I know what
that
they're talking
person
about.
doesn't have a crime?
Yeah.
Remember, I was checked by the FBI. They were not. They
Right.
simply invaded this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last administration was like, they were just flying them into red states. Well, every state is really red. It's just the cities
And
that are blue.
everywhere.
Anywhere where
Hmm.
anywhere where it was Republican controlled, they were sending these people all over to try to. Their ultimate goal was to change the voting demographic. That was what their ultimate goal was in the last 4 years,
Yep,
right? Because they stole the last election, okay, and you could kind of read the tea leaves and understand what was coming for 2024, right? With you had COVID lockdowns, you had the steel, you had J6, the J6 political prisoners. There was just a lot of things going up against the last administration. So their goal, all right, was to essentially bring all these people in, find a way to get them to vote, and change the whole voting demographic to get these people to vote for the next 2 generations, okay, for a socialist agenda, and absolutely destroy this country. Fortunately, we were able to come together as a nation and stop that. But that was what the ultimate goal was with that with the massive illegal immigration. They're all criminal aliens to me.
yeah, and you are so right about that because when Ben and Oscar interviewed these people right on the border, at that time there were a lot of influencers going to the border and talking to the people
It
and say, "Where are
was.
you from? Where are you
Yeah,
going?" And
Yeah.
yeah,
they all knew which state to go to, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. It's amazing. They all knew. And you were right. It was exactly to those states that you just mentioned.
It's the Marxists have been playing the long game in this country since the late 19th century. And they they've infiltrated absolutely every single institution. Scott and I have talked about this a lot. Uh, we're constantly trying to tell people that the only way we're going to fix this is we got to get ourselves out of this. We can't. Trump is one guy. He's going to be gone in 2020, 2028. All right. And we're going to have to move on to the next person. And it's not just nationally, again, locally. We got to fix things locally, especially with these Marxist DAs and these Marxist judges and whatnot that are backed by people like Soros and whatnot that absolutely, destroy it. It's funny. I saw a meme because the next census is in 2030. Okay. And it looks like all these blue states are going to lose a lot of seats, especially with all this mass
Oh yeah.
de-immigration. we'll call it, has been going on. Just getting people out of the country. All right, Scott, was it you who was telling me that it was something like 1 million people already are gone
For what?
for in
It was
immigration?
on
Or
my it was on my list. Yeah,
it was on your list, right?
they're
It's like
saying just since January, they're saying that it's a million illegals down from where we were in January.
yeah, that
It's
just
Well,
crazy to
imagine
think
that.
that, right?
that
Yeah,
is the reason why they're fighting these
yeah,
deportations, precisely because their whole plan is going down the river because Trump is deporting these people, their future voters.
yep.
And you are right. I am very active. I
So,
know
eh,
Republican politicians here in my city, and they all know me. I have their phone, and we talk, we exchange ideas. They keep inviting me to make depositions at the Colorado Congress. But here it's such a waste of time because I am one voice only. I have a friend from Ecuador. She's married to a military guy. She is going to run this year again, and hopefully she's going to win. She's a conservative voice. I am too old and I don't have the energy to run. Otherwise, I would run
no,
myself.
no, you're not too old. You can do it.
I don't want to be the female Bernie Sanders.
No, no, no.
You'll
God,
never be
please
that old.
don't even say that about yourself. Nothing, you're nothing like the Bernie Sanders at all.
He's a he's the
You
crypt
know, but
keeper.
again, it's a long game that they've been playing and they've been winning for a very long time. If you remember in the last Trump administration when the census came out, he was trying to get the question in the census, okay, about illegal immigrations. If you're here illegally, and they couldn't get it done, that
Citizenship
would have
question. Yeah.
that would have wrecked a lot of the stuff back then. And so I don't know how they're going to get it in 2030 when the next one comes out, because that's I just like what he's doing. Just keep the deportations going. He ramped
Hmm.
it up. He ramped it up. He was talking about slowing it down, and then he just ramped it up the next day. Uh, and
But
just keep it going.
I forgot one important thing when I was explaining my process of green card and then citizenship. Back then, also, when you were in public places and people were asking for signatures either for a measure or for a law or whatever, they would always ask me, "Are you an American citizen?" If
Hmm.
I said no, they said you cannot sign them.
Right.
Only even if you're a legal citizen, legal alien, you could not.
Yep.
Another thing, driver's license were only given to legal immigrants.
Yep.
Period.
My
Yep.
God,
And
those were the days.
why was that? Because when you went to vote, your document to prove that you could vote, which to me it's stupid because the driver license doesn't tell if you were born in this country.
Right.
Right.
I think
That's why they do it.
they should add a field in the driver's license that asks country of birth.
Yep.
Right.
That is the only way you can prove citizenship through
They
a
should do that.
driver's
Well,
license.
they have some space. They took out the extra gender option, so I think they've got some extra space on there now.
Exactly. Just ask country of birth. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
It's right
Yeah.
there. It's
It's
unused
And
real
just like
estate.
what
you
like
know,
when you're filling out what do you call an employment, right? It asks you if you're a citizen and stuff like that, right?
exactly.
It
Or
does.
naturalized citizen, or if you were born in, it asks you, and you have an
That's the
option. If you were
thing.
born in the US, you
You,
can click it. You can put a little check mark in it.
you could, but that's how even employers get. Well, if employers that aren't doing like real background checks,
Right.
someone gives them a driver's license, and it's actually
Yep.
really not that hard for them to get fake social security cards.
Bro, I don't want to tell you.
It's not
I don't
hard.
want to. I used to work
So
up at West Point, man, and like these contractors would come, and all their people would have to come through access control. Every single one of them. This was before the
yep.
DOD took over access control up at West Point, right? It was still civilians. It was between us and the MPs, right? And I worked on the
Mhm.
civilian side. Bro, I don't want to tell you how many people I turned away. They would come with their consulate card and stuff like that from whatever country they were from, and I was just like, You're coming on a fucking military installation. Don't think that's just because it's an academy, you're gonna just get on. It's still a military installation, right? And I don't want to tell you how many people I would turn away. And these contractors would lose their shit with me. Okay. And I was like, you want me to give you the list of what IDs we can accept? She says, yeah, but he's got a legal card from his consul. I was like, but he doesn't have a legal card to come on this fucking station. It's like, so why don't you go hire? There's plenty of Americans right here in town you can hire if you need to get this job done. But he's not. Your boy is not coming on this station. And they would, bro. I'd be turning away. And it wasn't just me. All of us. We'd be turning people away left and right. The contractors would just get so upset. But this was, of course, in New York, where anything was going at the time. This was like in 2005 and stuff
And
like that. Still, anything went.
I asked my friends who are attorneys if indeed ICE has an obligation to show their badge. They
Hmm.
don't. Why? Because they have the highest clearance in the federal government. So they don't have to show it. There is no warrant that illegals can demand from a nice
Yeah.
officer.
Yeah.
No. So these are all rhetoric being used by the evil left
Yeah.
because they have no obligation. And if you post things saying, oh, she or he was a mother, a father, a very good worker, how do you know those people didn't commit a crime either in their birth country or here? You don't
Right.
know. You don't know me. I don't know you. I could have committed a crime in this country. So,
Right.
why are these people insane enough to think that everybody that has been arrested by ICE are innocent? Don't you think ICE has that information?
Yeah, but they miss what they miss, Sonia, is that the minute they walk across the border, okay, you're a criminal alien. Right at the minute you step across the
Oh, I
border without
know.
coming through a port of call, okay, and doing it the right way, you're automatically what do you call it, a criminal. So they're missing
I'll be
that. That's
right back.
No, that's fine. That's the big thing right off the bat, right? So, like, they're not. It doesn't matter to me if they're a farmer or whatever like that. The minute you come across illegally, you're illegal. Period. You're a criminal alien. That's what it is, for me. So, they can keep running that shit on Instagram and everything else, but it doesn't matter. A lot of these games that were being played in the last administration is definitely not being played right now. And it's Trump he's putting a lockdown on it, and I'm glad that he's putting a lockdown on it. If you're just joining us right now, we are with Sonia, okay, uh, our Brazilian patriot who loves this country, and she was here to talk about some immigration and whatnot. She told her story, fantastic story of her coming to the United States. Her You can find her as Mia Conservadora on Instagram. She used to be the Samba Queen, but they took her page away. So you can find her. Links are in the description. We're having a fascinating conversation with her today on immigration and whatnot. She's very, very well versed in it. She understands the system because she had to go through it herself. And it took her, when you think about it, it's probably taken her 20 years as well, like one of our viewers, Rosie Riveter. So great, great story. Red Day had to step away for a little bit. Fam, don't forget to sign up for the Discord. We watched Gladiator this past weekend. We'll have to get with Jonathan to see when the next day is going to be next month. We're only doing it once a month. Don't forget to pick up some scars and stripes coffee, fam. It's great coffee. They roast their coffee here in the United States. They get their coffee from all over. Link is in the description as well. On the sponsors, just click on it, and I have a, what do you call it? Big Red. If the coupon isn't there, Big Red, BIGRED, all one word, and I think it's in capitals, but it should be. If you click on it, you should get a discount using my affiliate link. But yeah, it's been a great conversation so far. I really appreciate you taking the time to come hang with us. Big lesson on immigration. Uh, Obviously well versed in it because you had to go through the process yourself. And it's just good to know that we have people like you who can tell everybody this is the way it is supposed to be. Okay.
Yeah, and
Um,
the other thing I need to clarify to people is when you do the Pledge of Allegiance to become a citizen, essentially you are made aware that You have to pick and choose which country you're going to be siding with in
Hmm.
case the US
Like,
goes into war with your birth country. I
Right.
am I am a dual citizen, but to me,
mhm,
America is my country. I defend America with all my body, my strength, and my heart. I am more American than people who were born here.
It's true.
And I know that eventually, if it is discovered that Brazil sold uranium to Iran, we're going to have a problem.
Right.
And a lot of the illegals from Brazil, they have to leave. You're right. They committed a crime the minute they entered illegally. They
Right.
don't understand. They think that a crime is to murder someone. No, you broke a law, and when you break the law, that's considered a crime. But it's important to explain to them also what I said before in this live, because people find all kinds of excuses to defend illegals.
Yeah.
And that's not right. That's not right.
Well, it's mainly they want to play on people's heartstrings, right? Like they just like they're strumming people's heartstrings, and they use all these, well, what about this? She was a mother of 30 years, and in 30 years she couldn't figure out
uh,
how to get her shit right. I mean, if you're talking about 30 years ago, we gave Reagan, okay,
first,
before that, he gave freaking amnesty to a whole bunch of people, okay? Within that time, she couldn't find, she was around that time, so she couldn't find, like, what it is that she had to do in order to become, a citizen, or he or whatever like that, so for me, I don't want to hear it, okay? I will take people like you all day, every day, who want to come here and be
Thank you.
American,
Thank
okay?
you. And
Because
you were so right about that, because I am somewhat involved in the Brazilian community in Instagram.
Mhm,
And I watch lives, I see videos of people from Brazil who came here illegally. And it's
mhm,
so real to hear them, because often enough the story goes like this: I sold my house, I sold my car, I sold everything I had to come here. Some of them have said $60,000. Then when you tell them what you just said, it took
yeah,
you 30 years. Oh, it's so expensive. We don't have the money. If you apply that money to apply for legalization in your own country,
yeah,
you would be here legally by now. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So their logic that don't make any sense.
yeah. It's true, right? And then they've been here 30 years. They still don't even speak a lick of English and stuff like that. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah,
Um,
and did they want to be here? They burned the American flag? Seriously?
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
And
it's
when you
true.
have a citizenship, when you are naturalized, and you did the Pledge of Allegiance and you betrayed this country, be it being part of a militia or on the internet trying to form a group of militia to against this country, that's considered treason. And
yeah.
the Secretary of State has all the right to remove your citizenship
What
because you
goes?
have a country of birth.
Mhm,
Yeah,
And if
yep,
you do not uh, keep your loyalty to America, your citizenship is gone. So when people tell you they are deporting Americans, they are lying to you. The Americans they are talking about are people like me,
mhm,
naturalized, who committed treason. That guy who is a veteran, you both must know the story of the
yeah,
veteran. He
yeah.
committed treason, and that's why his citizenship was taken away, and
Well,
he had to go back to
mhm,
his home country.
well, he also didn't do what he needed to do to become a citizen, right? Like he wasn't even a complete citizen. So that's just, to me, it's my a good friend of mine, okay, in Iraq. He got his citizenship before we left to Iraq. Okay, he died in Iraq, right? Okay, he was
Oh,
from Nigeria, and you know he was one of the most American people I have ever met. I remember sitting with him, and I'll tell you a quick story. I remember sitting with him one night, okay, on an OP, an observation point, and this was on our FOB, forward operating base, and we were just up there, and I was just pissed off at the world. Right, we're in Iraq. I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? And he told me his story in Nigeria. And once I listened to his story in Nigeria, I shut the fuck up. I was like, I don't really have anything to say. He was like, you don't understand how much I love being an American. Okay. And if I can give a smidgen, right or wrong, whether we're in Iraq for the right reasons, but at the time, our mindset, okay, he's like, if I can just give anybody just a small portion of the freedom that I have now as an American citizen, okay, then I'll do it. That was his mindset at the time. And he reset mine at the time too. And I never complained about anything else ever again from that day. Never
Mhm.
again. And I just was like, I really don't have it as bad as I thought I do. When you
Nope.
think you have it bad, there's someone else who has it worse than you.
Yep.
And he went through his whole story, and it just like again, I don't want to hear it from people burning out flag, talking about they're taking American citizens, or she was just a farmer and whatever. I don't really give a shit anymore. I don't care. She should have got her should have found a way to get her citizenship. She could have left and came back and probably still had it in the 30 years that she was here.
And the green cards being removed, it's because people, from the time I arrived here, people used marriage as a
Hmm.
means to become legalized.
An anchor.
Fraudulent
Mhm.
marriages. Talking about anchor babies, I met a Mexican guy in
America's
California who came here illegally with his wife and one of his children. And he told me we got pregnant a second time because we are waiting for her to be 21 to sponsor us into this
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
These are anchor babies. Americans, wake up, stop being naive.
Well, they're fighting in the courts right now, and I think at some point the Supreme Court's going to have to make a decision on the whole anchor baby thing and birthright citizenship. If an illegal, they every time they use these cases of actual cases of like people who are residents, right? Jonathan, if you can pull that up, because I always forget the case from the 1800s, the Chinese family who were actually legal residents of the United States, and the courts granted that their kids were, or what do you call it, American citizens because they were legal residents, even though they were Chinese citizens. So like it just it's going to be a big blow. We'll see how that blowout comes out. I don't know if the courts are going to have the balls to fix it, but we will see. We will
Yeah.
absolutely see.
They keep using the Constitution and you know
Yeah,
which amendment, right? But I
yeah,
have a question, if I may, to
sure.
both of you and to the audience. We still don't have a document that proves the citizenship when you go to vote.
Hmm.
I think it would be very hard to convince governors, since the DMV in Brazil is federal, but
Hmm.
in this country it's by state.
Correct.
I think it would be difficult to convince the governors, especially of the leftist state, to add a field asking birth, country
Oh,
of
they'll never
birth.
do that. Never
Never.
do.
So
Yeah.
what?
There is one state though that did it. I'm trying to remember now. Was it Iowa
I think I want to
or
one of
Arkansas?
those states out there in the plains. There was. You're absolutely right,
Oh,
Scott.
there's
That,
one. It's just this year. They voted on it.
yeah,
It's approved. And if you go vote now, you have to actually prove citizenship, not just driver's license.
Yeah.
You can't just
So
be an ID. You
what
have
do
to bring
you
a birth
think?
certificate or a social security card, I'm assuming.
But Social Securities they get too.
yeah. They were giving
This
them out like fucking
Mexican
candy.
guy that I
Yeah,
just gave an
I know that, but
example,
I guess I'm saying you got to
yeah.
maybe that social security card's not good enough. I don't know. Maybe you have
I
to have a birth
think
certificate.
I think a better way would be to give the first passport for free to all Americans, because there are a lot of poor people who
It's really
cannot
expensive
afford.
getting a passport. I still haven't even
Yeah.
renewed mine.
So give it to every citizen, real citizen, a passport, and when you go
You have
vote,
to.
you bring your DL and your passport. That's the
My
only
God,
way to prove.
I could. You know what? I love that idea. At the same time,
Yeah,
even with Trump as president, I could totally just see that just going off the rails.
Yeah, it would go off
So
the
Saying
we're
like
rails
not
really fast.
we're
everyone
gonna have
lining up, and everyone's like,
fraudulent
"Oh, I'm a
votes.
citizen," lining up outside every like freaking Social Security office.
Yep.
So we're
Holy
gonna
shit!
have fraudulent vote. How can we correct in
That
Brazil? Let me
It
tell you how
it
Brazil is.
see
that would
Brazil,
be the first. I just want to say this. That would be the way of grandfathering. Right? You know, they say just give everyone, you make everyone a citizen who's here now. Just give everybody amnesty. Um, that would be the way it would actually happen, and then you'd never
right.
get rid of people because
Then you'll
everybody
never
would
get rid
have
of
a
people, right?
well,
passport.
that's who opened the Pandora box? Reagan
Yeah.
Oh, I
He
of
know,
did.
all
I know,
He did.
presidents.
he did.
Yeah, he's
I'm,
he's
You
you know,
he's
we're
know,
not.
he's guilty. Guilty as charged.
He
yeah.
is. I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to just get, especially free shit.
Yeah.
Those free passports would wind up in fucking Nairobi
Yeah, they
and
would.
True.
Cameroon.
So
You'd have those exact passports,
Yo,
freaking perfect
straight up brought up
ident.
Nairobi and Cameroon.
so
Yeah,
I
man.
would just I don't mean to take over.
Nigeria will be selling them on the dark web by the very next day. They would
True.
make them
It'll be
perfect.
an internet prince from Nigeria selling
I
fucking
forgot
passports
about
on the.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They would. They'd
but
have the perfect hologram in it and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
But let
mess
me
around with
tell
it, and then
you,
you'd have everybody come into the border.
I think the way to do that is just Rosie Riveter. How are you? She's the one, Sonia, that I was talking about. It took her 24 years to get her citizenship as well. She
hi
loves this country very
Rosie.
very much. She even served. Okay,
Where is
and
she from? Which country originally?
He served.
she's from Mexico. Her family's from
Mexico.
Mexico. Yeah,
Did she
and
serve
Olá,
at
Rosie,
Applebee's?
como estás? Oh, well, so in Brazil, you have a voting card with
yes,
your name, a card number. When you go
Hmm.
voting, you have to bring your ID along with your voting card.
right. Right. Yeah, I think and it goes to what Scott was talking about. I think the only way, because the states still have autonomy to get through that, is you have to find a way to force the states. That'll never happen. Not all states will comply. Okay. You have to find a way to force the states to put a citizenship question in their driver's license. Look, when you go, all right, if you're a kid, right, and you're going to get your permit, you have to prove, you got to bring your birth certificate as a proof of who you are. Okay, you have to show your birth certificate and everything. So maybe make that a standard in order to get. It's got to be a standard across the board. You have to show proof of birth or proof of naturalization.
Yep,
So I'm with you. Trust me, you're not going to get an argument from us that we need that. We need that to get verified. There needs to be a verification process so that the states, there's no more issues with these illegals voting, because what they were doing. All right, I actually, one of my first videos from last year, I was talking about how they were bringing people into the country. Okay. And they were going to DMVs and Medicare and Medicaid offices, all right. And once they did that, they got them into getting Social Security numbers and everything like that. So once they were giving them benefits, they were able to get Social Security numbers and stuff,
yeah.
and they were beating the system.
That's true.
And I would tell you, people who are saying on social media that illegals don't get benefits, you are
That's bullshit.
lying.
That's a
I
Fucking
crock of
had a
shit.
bullshit.
visitor
I'm so tired
here.
of hearing that argument.
Yes,
Yeah, that's a
I
crock of
will
shit.
prove it to you. It's a lie. I had a
Yeah,
friend
Hmm.
whose daughter came here to help me because I was supposed to have a second back surgery, and she said, I will send my daughter to help you to cook and clean and walk with you, etc. So
Hmm.
she came and she got sick. Of course, she didn't have insurance. She was legal. Okay. Back then, Brazilians were able to get a visa to stay here legally 6 months as a
right,
visitor. So I then took her to a place here called Peak Vista near my house. When I got there, I said, look, this is her situation. They said, oh, don't worry about it. We will take care of her. And by the way, do you need translator? Because we pay for
yeah,
translation.
they
She
they
got
do all of it.
everything for free for her,
Yep.
not from our pockets. So
Right.
they do get dental, medical,
Yep.
medication, everything.
Yep.
So stop the lies because I saw with my own eyes this happening.
Yeah, that's yeah. They get a well. We saw under the last administration, right? They were getting on Medicaid. They were getting Social Security. They were getting disability. Everything they were getting. They were dipping
Oh, they
into
were getting
veterans
housing.
benefits. Yeah,
They were
housing,
getting
free.
SNAP.
They were getting they were getting SNAP. They were getting food stamps and whatnot. They were
Anything
putting
the
them up in
states could give
hotels and
out.
everything, giving them $15,000 debit cards and everything like that. So they were getting
And my
benefits.
personal beef, they were freaking giving them free Xbox.
And
Those-
I know you guys said that, but people don't believe. That is why, if they doubt it, come and talk to me because I saw that. I
Yeah,
witnessed. And
yeah,
it
it's
was crowded. This clinic was crowded. And none of them spoke English, by the way.
right. Yeah, well, that's another thing, right? So you go ahead, Scott. You were going to say something.
I was gonna say I was talking to someone the other day, and they were like, I don't believe that these illegal immigrants are getting like benefits." And I'm just like, "How could you?" I said, "How do you know?" They're
Right.
like, "Well, I just don't believe it." I'm like, "Well, that's pretty stupid." I'm like, "Why don't you just look? Why don't you just do a little research and find it?" I was like, "Because how do you know that no one is getting it? I mean, do you really know? What do you know? First of all, you don't even know how many are here.
It's
You don't know
true.
what their statuses
It,
are. I
the,
mean, in all these different states, they're in different situations. Some of them are in
it
public housing. Some of
it's
them are
been
being
it's
just being.
it's been
You don't
10
know who's
million since
getting
the
what.
1990s.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's like, how do
10
you
million.
know that nobody's getting it? And then
Yeah.
the argument switched from, oh, well, not everybody's getting it. Maybe there's probably some. I'm like, well, you know what? I don't care if it's all of them or some of them. It should be none of them.
yeah. Can I just answer a comment here? CRT mom said the real ID has all the information. No, it doesn't.
No, I don't think
Because I
so.
was forced in Colorado. They don't give you, when you renew your DL, they don't have a choice. It's the real ID
No
or
shit.
you don't get it. Okay?
No shit. In
Yeah,
Colorado, they make everybody just get the real ID.
yeah.
That's
So
the
I
Marxism for
have
you.
the little star. It doesn't have my birth country.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's sad that they make at least there are some states that are Rosie says the
I think the
same here in
real
Illinois.
ID is at the
So in Illinois too, Rosie, they make everybody get the real ID. That absolutely sucks.
supposedly, and if you want to fly, you need the real ID.
Yeah.
And
Domestically.
I don't know what that is. I don't know. It must be like some federal number or tracking that they can do on your ID now
I
that
will
they
Yeah.
couldn't
show you my
before.
ID. I will cover the number and my
It's
name.
probably
Hold
giving
on.
us cancer as we're sitting here talking.
Yeah, I mean, you can still fly with if you have a passport and whatnot, you can still fly with it.
If
But
you have a passport, yeah.
somebody said, I could have sworn I saw, and I don't know if anybody knows what the TSA rules that they're not really enforcing all of it. Rosie says you can't fly without it domestically,
Yeah.
but if you have your
They
passport, you still
said
can.
they had all these warnings saying you were going to need it, so I don't see
Yeah,
why that wouldn't have happened.
yeah, yeah. That just sucks,
Okay,
though. What other
here.
states? Hey, if you're just watching us, what other states just make everybody get a real ID?
You see the star?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See? That's the real ID.
Right, right. I
Okay?
know.
In
Yeah.
Colorado. Okay?
Yeah,
So I had no choice. When I got it and I saw it
Be
was
careful
the
showing
real
your ID there.
right. Yeah, yeah.
I hate to
Um,
say it, but be careful holding your ID up.
yeah, just make sure you don't put up too much information on your ID on the screen. Uh,
Oh no, I
Yeah,
yeah,
so
did. I covered
I know she
everything.
covered a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, I saw
yeah,
with
I
her
was just saying
finger she covered.
they'll play the video back and show the barcode.
Yeah, I know.
There's
Yeah,
idiots
Are
and
because
you
crazy people
kidding?
out there that would do
if you
that.
get a passport ID, because the passport ID lets you fly into Mexico and what do you call it, into Canada and everything like that. You can use
Mhm.
that. Um, when I went over to Europe on the Band of Brothers tour, I couldn't use it to go to Europe. I had to use my passport. But if I was going to Canada or Mexico, and then you can use that to fly domestically as well too.
So now I'm
Uh,
concerned. Are you able to cut that portion that I showed the back of my ID?
yeah, I could find. I'll go
He
back and
probably
look at it.
could.
It's already on the air
I hate
because we're
I hate
live
to
right
say it.
now.
It's just yeah.
It,
I mean,
it's
I hate to
it's
say it. I just you just never know.
Yeah, I'll go
You
back
never
and look.
know.
Even though it's live, I'll go back and find out and see where we at. 1 hour 41, about 1 hour and 35 minutes. I'll go back and check to see
Okay.
how bad it is and see if I can, what do you call it? Uh blur out some stuff for you. I have to go. I have to do it through YouTube and Rumble. I think they allow you to do clips. So like if I can do that, I'll be able to
No.
clip it out.
Yeah, and if you can clip, if you cannot do it and have to clip me out completely, that's fine too.
Yeah,
Uh,
we'll figure it out. No, it'll just be whatever little portion. That's all. It wouldn't be the whole thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I shouldn't have turned around, but yeah,
Yeah.
No, it's you covered up like your
There's
address and
there's
all that
people
other stuff. I didn't,
there's
but there are
people out
people who
there
wear
that
those.
would have like high definition, screens and like cameras and shit like that. They would do that.
Yeah,
yeah, I
Like I
totally
had
forgot. Yeah,
if
yeah.
they can scan, you figure there's people out there that will scan your wallet through your
Uh,
pants, or in
the
your bag.
I would
They
say the
they can
good
look at a screen and try to do that.
Yeah, I would say
They
the
would at
good
least
thing is that
try.
there was no light from your screen hitting it. Like
That's
me, I
true.
have a light hitting me, so like you don't have a light hitting you. But
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah,
back
it
and
was
take
very
a look at
dark.
it. I promise, Sonia. I won't. I'll
thank
when we're
you.
done here later on, I'll go check it out.
Yeah,
See if I have to clip out, 2 seconds. It's not going to be the end of the world. Um,
thank you.
no problem.
I will have to drop out.
Sure.
I appreciate you guys inviting me.
Sure.
I hope I didn't speak too much, but
No, not at all. Your
Yeah,
story
you're
was
fine.
fantastic to be
We
told.
want people to speak.
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
And Mia, come here. I want you to meet Mia. Mia, vem cá,
Oh,
bebê.
this is Mia.
This is Mia.
This is Mia.
Mia was barking up a storm earlier today. Uh,
Yep.
well,
Thank you
Sonia,
so much.
Sonia,
Bye, everybody.
it's been a
Thanks.
fantastic time. Thank you for giving us your time tonight. Great story and a great conversation tonight. Thank you, honey. Please come back.
Yes, I will. Invite me and I'll be back. Bye.
Absolutely.
Alrighty.
Bye. Have a
We
good
will.
night.
You too. How
Okay.
do I
Bye bye.
drop out?
If you have problems, I can kick you out. Don't worry about
Kick me out.
it.
Because this girl wants to go for a walk.
All righty. We'll get going right now.
Be careful. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Don't run
There
into
we
any
go.
Trendahagua out there.
Yeah, no shit. Well, what a great story, right? Like, she just had a
Hmm.
lot to talk about her time coming to the United States and whatnot, her process and everything, how long she's been in the US. She's been all over the country too, man.
I sure I have people that follow me from Brazil, but I didn't. She's the first Brazilian that I think I've like talked to on
Hmm.
Instagram. Before her, the only other interaction I had with a Brazilian was this girl that I went on a date with a long time ago. It was one of the first people I went on a date with when I moved to Florida.
Yeah.
I met this Brazilian girl. We went out. We literally went out on one date,
Uh-huh.
and she was beautiful. But you know what? The one thing I hate, why it only lasted one date? The
Why?
whole date, all she did was fucking trash America.
Oh, yeah. I
She
can
was like,
see.
"Oh, it's so much better." She literally was talking about the favelas back in freaking Brazil, like, "Oh, it was so
Yeah,
much better to
okay.
live there." I'm like, "Are you
Yeah.
fucking stupid?" Like even back then, I was just like, I was like, my head was down like this. I'm like, "Oh my god, what the fuck?"
Bro, you
And
got
she
more
lived in
fucking
Orlando.
patience. You got more
Yeah,
patience than I do, man. I would have been like, you know what? Here, you know what? The bill, I'm gonna pay it right now.
I
Fucking here's your bus fare.
was
Just don't even. I'm
at
not
the
even
time
driving
I
you
was
home.
weighing my odds. I'm like, am I gonna get something out of this? Should I waste my time? I'm
Yeah,
like,
you were trying to get
no.
some. You were thinking about getting some trim at the end of the night. That's why.
Yeah, I was. I was thinking, is it even worth it? I was like, I don't know if I want
Like,
to.
should I take one for the team tonight or what?
I
We've all
thought
been
it
there,
crossed
bro.
my mind, but then when it didn't happen, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I was like, probably was a
yeah,
blessing in disguise because even on
we've
the
all
phone,
been
she
there,
started
bro.
bitching about shit.
Oh my god. Maldito.
That was
Yeah,
my
bro.
only interaction with someone from Brazil before I met
Bro,
Sonia.
all the interactions I've had with Brazilians have always been fantastic. Every Brazilian, they were either in construction or something like that. On my construction
Hmm.
sites, the painters were all from Brazil. No, all like
All the Brazil.
literally every single one of them was from Brazil, and they all loved
Wow.
it here, man. They were like, man, I'm in a union, I got a freaking benefits,
Yeah.
I got a car, I can, they because
You would
new
think.
trades in New York City.
Yeah. You would think that
Yeah,
that would be cool for them, but
yeah.
I don't know. This one girl, freaking piece of, she was a piece of work.
Oh man, I feel for you, bro.
You know what the worst? You know what the dumbest thing was? Because I saw she showed me pictures on her phone about her house, and she looked like she had a nice house.
In Brazil.
No, here.
Oh,
Well,
here.
she
Okay.
said it was her home here, and I
Okay.
said, "What do you do?" And her job was she was a sculptor. I was like, "You making a good enough living
As a
making
sculptor?
sculptures?" And she's like living in this nice house, and I'm like, "Are you
Was she
fucking kidding me?"
was
And you're
she like a metal
complaining.
sculptor, like welding and shit, or was she like, like a sculptor with like plaster?
It looked like plaster. It looked like almost
Okay.
like stone. Like
Right, right.
her specialty was like little angels,
Okay.
and it looked like it was like, I mean, they looked like they were stone.
Right.
So I don't know how she was doing it. I mean, I didn't get that deep into the conversation, but I
Right.
mean, she showed me pictures. Like that's impressive that you're making that living here and you're living pretty damn well, and all you can do is shit on the country.
Yeah.
You know, you should be so lucky that you can earn that nice of a living doing that shit.
That's
How in
amazing.
demand could that be?
I don't. Nay demand. There's nay demand. Okay, for fucking sculpt.
Sculptors of fucking stone angels. It's not in Florida. Like, what's the fucking market for that here?
For stone cherubs.
Hmm. Yes, stone
What do you?
cherubs.
What do you?
Like,
What's the get back on the stone cherubs? What's
I,
coming back when you're selling this
I
shit?
have no idea. I was like, what is like Kobe Bryant walking in there and saying, "Oh, I'm redoing the mansion. I need some stone cherubs." Like Shaq is walking in, like I don't even know who would buy that.
Well,
Mm,
obviously she had a home,
yeah.
so someone was buying them.
She did, and
Fuck.
she was a single mom.
Oh
She had a
God.
kid, so she was
Well,
supporting herself and the kid, living very well.
she might. You never know. She might have been getting that fucking alimony as well and fucking child support.
Well, yeah,
That
that's
could have been
true.
propping
I
her up
didn't
as
think about
well.
that. Yeah, that's true.
Have a good night, conserve. Sleep well, brother. Uh, thanks for fucking hanging tonight, man. Yeah, fucking stone cherubs, man. I'm gonna be thinking about that all night.
I was like,
I'm
you
gonna
think
go to bed tonight just cracking up. I was like, fucking Scott, just stories, man.
I got a ton of fucking stories? But I even asked her, I was like, you think, I even asked her, I was like, politely asked her, but I was like, you think you'd be earning a living back in the fucking favelas making
No shit.
stone
Making
cherubs?
stone cherubs.
People are freaking knifing each other for a bowl of soup.
For fucking bread. You're getting fucking held up
Yeah.
for a loaf of bread.
Like she's over here just stone chiseling away, I'm guessing. You know? What a
I
lifestyle.
can't make this shit up, man.
Oh man. It's like she had no business complaining.
Oh my god. You just like that shit. Oh, that shit brought tears to my eyes. My fucking stomach is hurt. My
It's
sides hurt me,
crazy.
man. I could just, I could just picture fucking just some chick making stone cherubs, making a living, and getting a
Yeah.
fucking $300,000 house in Florida.
I mean, I don't know how much it was, but it was probably really nice. It was like it had like the way it looked at, she had like an atrium in the middle of her house and the sun was
Listen,
coming in. I
man.
was like,
I
Jesus Christ, that's a nice house.
I guess there was a market for it at the time for stone cherubs,
Yeah.
man. I
That
mean,
was
who
before
knows?
COVID, I guess.
Maybe she had a fucking contract with a mausoleum or some shit. Who knows? In the
Every
yeah,
church in the Orange County area was like hitting her up.
we like your stone cherubs.
Maybe she was
Wow. If you,
making them. Who knows? Maybe she was making them for Disney. I mean, I can't think of
who
it.
fucking knows, man? God, it's just. Oh man,
It's a
your
small
stories
world,
kill me,
needed
man.
him.
You come out of left field with some of this shit, man.
Oh, man, I've got some fucking doozies, man. I tell you.
Oh, bro, I got some fucking hellacious
That's not
ones.
even the crazy story. That's just happened to. I only thought of that because we were talking about Brazil.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Ah, but
crazy dating stories for sure.
yeah, it's a great night though tonight with her.
Mhm.
Just want to thank
Yeah, it's
Sonia
pretty
for
cool.
coming on and hanging out with us. We definitely Rogue Nina says Scott, they're probably Trojan horse statues, trafficking drugs. No way she's making that bank.
You know what?
That
Yeah, you
makes
know
a
what?
whole
Think
lot of
about it.
sense. That makes a whole
What
lot of
was that?
sense right there.
What was that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? True Lies. Remember, that's how they
True
were stealing.
lies.
That's how they were. That's how they were sneaking in the not only just the treasure, but also the
The
weapons of mass
missiles.
destruction.
Yeah, the weapons of mass
There
destruction
was,
through
yeah.
in the plaster and stuff like that, and the sculptures.
I didn't
When he
even think about that. She might have been. You know what? She might have been like fucking. I don't know. Yeah, she was the
who was that?
conduit to
Was that who
get
was
all that
that?
shit.
Was that Tia Carrera? Was that the actress?
Oh yeah, yeah, in
Was
her
that
prime.
what? Yeah, and
Hmm.
he oh yeah,
Early
and she got
'90s,
the
Tia Carrera.
she got the taste slapped out of her mouth
That
in
was a
that movie.
great. Come on, that cat fight in the limo. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was when, Jamie Lee Curtis still had it going on and we didn't have to hear any of her fucking Marxist bullshit coming out of her mouth. Oh, she was
I
fucking
don't think we heard it
fantastic.
from. I don't think we heard it from hardly any of those actors back then. They had
Nah, man, they kept that shit to
not
themselves.
not
There was
many,
a few. There was a few. Like you had
a
Sean
handful.
Penn, Danny Glover was still very outspoken commie. But there was a handful of them that were but man, they just been all over, man. All over that shit now. Because they knew they weren't going to get canceled. Back then, they were worried about getting canceled, but now, they can just be out in the open and just be a douchebag
Yeah.
all the time. Nobody's going to cancel them.
Now it's actually how they get awards now by being a
Yeah,
douchebag.
yeah. That's how you get awards for being the biggest douche fucking of the
Hmm.
year. And this one excelled as
Hmm.
a douche in this movie and a douche in
Yep.
real life. So here you go. You get here's your fucking flag.
Hmm.
You fucking scumbags, man. God, highly weird. By the way, we got to get Luke Coffey back because he said he wanted to come back and do a Hollyweird episode.
Oh, I'm sure he's
The-
probably got some very great
yeah, to
stories.
tell us some of them stories about the freaking alphabet mob and all that other shit.
Yeah,
I gotta
I'd love
call
to hear
him. I
that
gotta
shit.
call him and see when he wants to come back. But just to give everyone an update, there won't be a show this Friday or next Monday. I'll be back.
Or
There'll be
next
a show
Friday.
Wednesday. Yeah, I'll be back this Wednesday. There is a show Wednesday with myself and Major Ed for Warrior Wednesday. Then next Wednesday, myself and Blondie uh, will have a show, but there won't be a show this Friday, next Monday, or next Friday, 4th of July. We will be back full tilt again, myself and Red Day on the 7th. And on the 7th, CRT Mom's going to be with us. Chelsea's going to be with us. She's got a great guest that's coming on to tell the story of abuse that's going on in the California schools. So we have a good guest coming on the 7th. And I got to work that out with her and whatnot, but that's what we had planned out. We got to make sure that that's still going. And then we'll keep working to bring more people on. But man, what a great conversation with
Oh,
Sonia that was, man. She was fucking on it.
oh, I got more good people.
Yeah,
We got
yeah.
plenty of good people to talk to.
For next month, I want to come on.
Oh, anytime. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. There's always more good people to
yeah,
meet
yeah,
and
yeah.
get to know, grow the
Absolutely.
family.
Yeah, absolutely. Just continue to build this family and this community of fucking true tellers and true seekers, right? We got to make sure that the demo crew is like runs, thick and continue to
Oh yeah,
fucking destroy the narrative that's out there. Every time we hear the bullshit, we got to
absolutely.
just continue to plow through it. Take a jackhammer to it and whatnot. But anyway, fam, great night, man. What a great discussion. It was just good to hear her story.
Hmm.
Good get there, Scott. It was awesome. Once again, Scott is at what are you at? 152 now?
I hit
150
152. Yeah, I hit 151 this morning and then 152 this afternoon.
152K on Instagram. Scott is blowing up. It's good to see he's put a lot of effort into his page out of all the other ones that got nuked.
Yep.
So make sure you're following him. He always has some great stuff, especially on the weekends and whatnot. He drops that weekly freaking update of what has gone on in whatever week it is. And his last one was a doozy and a good one. Um,
Yeah.
but
Hey, you know what?
like,
Before you go, can I ask you a question?
sure.
Do you have any idea? I know if Conserve was on, he'd probably know off the top of his head, but do you have any idea when the primaries actually take place?
For both Republicans and Democrats,
Even, yeah, the
that'll
actual
be the beginning.
primaries.
Yeah, that'll be the beginning of next year.
Oh, really? It's that
Yeah,
far off?
yeah.
Okay.
They're
All
usually
right,
they're in the same year as the election year. They happen beginning of the year.
the beginning of the year. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, and I wanted to talk to you about what I got cooking for that. So I'll talk to you off air about it. I'm just
Okay, for
curious
the
to know.
what, for the primaries coming up next year?
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
bro,
primary
this
shit.
is episode 91. We're almost at 100. I got to figure out what
We're
day
gonna
is
do something
100.
for 100.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I gotta figure out what day, because we're gonna have a little bit of a lapse here of shows. So day 100 will probably be next month or August, right? No, it's got to be next month sometime.
July.
But yeah, but we're coming up
Yeah,
on
we'll hit it.
100 episodes, man. We got to try to get something together for
It's
our
crazy.
100th episode. See if we can either
Mhm.
get a panel or just see if we can fucking lock down a really good guest. Come on,
Maybe
the
we
100th.
yeah, ooh, we should get some
We'll talk
yeah.
about it.
Maybe we get JD Vance on or something like that.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, imagine that. Him fucking taking the time to come. Yeah, June-ish.
Hey JD, you busy?
Yeah, you busy? You got some time for us? Can you come hang? Maybe should I talk to him like one Marine to the X? Hey, come on, Devil Dog, come hang
Let's
with
see.
us.
That's right. You should pull that card.
You just
Hey,
pull the
come on,
Marine Corps
bro.
card. It's like, yeah, I was a corporal too in the Marines, just like you.
Come on, bro. Come on,
Come on,
bro.
bro.
Thought we were bros.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be a shitbird. Come on the fucking show.
That's right. Don't be one of those guys. Don't be like those guys in the Navy.
Don't be that guy, right? Don't be that guy in the Navy. Stop. You're acting like a real fucking squid now. Come on the
That's
show. Come
right.
on the show and come hang with us.
Uh-huh.
It is different in different states. You're absolutely correct. Um, the primaries are different but like next year for sure. Some of them start a little early. Iowa is definitely first, like what Jonathan is saying, and he says that that's scheduled for this June 2nd, the Iowa primary. But I could have sworn that there's some earlier in the year, because I could have sworn like this
Wait, when
for
is Iowa coming?
he says Iowa's June 2nd next year. But I'm
Of
pretty.
next year? That's late.
You know what we
Yeah.
got to do? We have to do our homework on that and just let everybody know when the primaries are. We should probably do
Well,
a show with like
that's
this. We
step
should
one.
probably do. We should probably do a show. Try to find out do a show of like whatever we're talking about. Then may do a segment of maybe the first 10 states and then the next 10 like that. You know what I'm saying? That way
Yeah.
we can get
Well,
in everybody's mind that the primaries are coming up.
yeah. My thought was I was wanting to get some people on from each state,
Okay.
and at least the ones that we need to quote worry about.
Right.
Um, like not I'm like not worried about Florida, or certain
Right.
states
Right.
like that where we've got a good bench, but like states that like we really need to turn seats over, either need to
Correct.
win seats or kick out rhinos, and
Right.
see if there's anything we can do to help support
That.
the MAGA, the constitutionalists,
Yeah.
the America First candidate.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think
Um,
that's a good idea. Try to bring someone from whatever states that we
I
need to
think
work on.
I have a few followers. I'll just reach out to them.
Okay. All right. I'll take us out. You're gonna hang
Just
around
say
for
it.
a sec.
I can.
Okay. Yeah. Because you said you wanted to
Right.
talk to me about something anyway.
Well, it was that. It was that, but we can talk about it.
All right. All right,
All right.
fam. We are about to call it a night. Another great show. I want to thank Sonia again for coming on and hanging with us. Thanks to Red Day for getting that get and bringing her on the show. It was fantastic discussion. Say what's up. Thank you, Rogue Nina, for hanging with us. Ride or Die, you're always with us. Base Blondie, Conserve Reality. Rosie Riveter came on. Obviously, we got to say what's up to Chelsea, CRT Mom. She's going to be on with us on the 7th. Remember that, fam, when we come back and we start going full tilt again for the summer. Uh, did I miss anybody, Jonathan? Rosie Riveter, love you, Prima. She was hanging with us for a little bit too. Let me know if I missed anybody, Jonathan. I think I got everyone. Yeah, so I think that's a good idea. We'll talk about that some more. Anyway, fam, I am the Big Red One Guy signing out. And remember that together and only together can we break the machine. God bless you all. God bless America. And Scoob live stream. God bless you too, brother, for coming to hang with us. He jumped in there early. I almost forgot Scoob. Have a good night, fam. I will see you on Wednesday.